In this lesson, I want to get you really excited about Bootstrap because there's a lot of really amazing web resources that you can access to help build out your Bootstrap projects and also give you a better idea and a feel for what can be done with Bootstrap. So let's check these out. So actually the main source for Bootstrap is a GitHub repository. So we've got all of the information about Bootstrap, and it's got a bunch of examples here, ability to quick start, and some useful information. So this is probably a good starting point to go over to their GitHub repo as well as their websites and just take a quick look around and check out the code and see all the different really neat things that you can do with it. They also do have examples, best practices, and it's definitely worth reading through to really familiarize yourself with Bootstrap. So some of the main websites for interacting with Bootstrap, one of them is Bootply. So what Bootply does is it's got a repository where people are posting code and just overall talking about Bootstrap. It gives you some more insight about Bootstrap. So here we've got a basic Bootstrap template here. We can see that we've got access to different templates. We can look at resources. So here we've got some documentation on Bootstrap 4. We've got the links to it. We've got an upgrade tool, Bootstrap base. So there's quite a lot of information here, as well as through the community. So if you do want to read up, or if you want to get involved in the community, ask questions, this is a great website to visit. And then we do have a really good resource here over at layoutit.com. So essentially it allows you to build out a Bootstrap website with drag and drop. So as we mentioned before, Bootstrap is based on this grid system. So we can set up pieces of our Bootstrap website. Think about it as a grid. So a grid going across with rows, with columns down, and typically we're using 12 columns across, and we're using we're placing rows within the columns to really build out that structure here. So you can see here that I've just set up some really simple Bootstrap here and layout it. We've got our Jumbotron here at the top. We've got the ability to drag it, move it around, remove it, and so on. So we also do have these base CSS. So if I wanted to add in a title, I can drag it in here and we can get that look. We've got a bunch of different HTML elements here. So if we want to add in a form, so this is already pre-designed. And this is one of the good things about Layoutit. It's just really easy to set this up and get going with it. Very intuitive, and drag and drop is just so easy to work with. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is going to give you a better idea of how you can design with Bootstrap. So it is definitely worthwhile checking this one out as well, playing around with it and seeing what is available for Bootstrap. And of course you can always get that source code when you need it. It's also got components. So some of these components, so we've got the Jumbotron that we've looked at. You can also set up navigation menus. So there's a few different options here for navigation menus. So you can change those to pills. You can just use the default. You can have it stacked if you want. So a lot of options here for what you can do. So this is just a typical navigation menu. It's also got a drop down and of course thumbnails. So if you want to drag in some thumbnails, list objects, and really a lot of really neat stuff. We also do have JavaScript stuff that we can drag and drop. So if I want to add in a carousel up here, we can really easily add in a carousel here. And once we've built out our website, we can check that out. Another popular one are modals. So I'm going to just add this in as well. So I'm just dropping that in there. So let's check this out and see what this looks like. We can see that the modals here, modals in Bootstrap, there are these alert windows, so they're customized styled alert windows that pop up here. It's got, by default, has the closing buttons, and there's a few options for modals, which of course we're going to be looking at as we progress through the course. So if you want to actually get the source code once you've built it out, you can download it and you can sign up, you can log in, you can connect with one of your social accounts, or you can just say not logged in, and you can see that this is all that Bootstrap styled coding that if you wanted to, you could then copy it, bring it into your project, and have it all appear there. So let's check this out now. So going into our web page, it's going to refresh it, and we can see that now we've got all of this functionality here that's available within Bootstrap. We are missing the links to the images there, so that's just something to note, that this was just because we had copied it over, but you can see that the modals and everything is working. So that's one of the resources, and as I said, there's a lot of fantastic resources. There's also Boot Theme, which is another fantastic resource. So you can go over to their website, boottheme.com, go to Web Designer, and from here you can select what component you want to add in. So if I wanted a navigation bar, I can simply then drag it and drop it in. If I wanted to add in a carousel underneath that navigation bar, I can drag it, drop it in, and let's say I want it to have some text area here, so we can just add in some text. So usually I would use a Lorem text, but we can drag that in and drop it. And this way we can really easily, again, build out our website here. And we can see the source code as well in the editor, in the preview, in the control. So the preview is popping up here on the right hand side. We can preview it across devices. And this is one of the things that, one of the main reasons why people love using Bootstrap is because it's mobile friendly and it's designed mobile first. So when you're designing websites, when you think mobile first, then you're sure to be able to fit on the smaller devices, which are more and more popular these days. And when you're building out content on the web, you do have to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of your traffic is going to be via mobile devices. So make sure that you are thinking for the small screens when you're building. And now as well with the larger screens such as the 4K TVs, they've come out with larger screen sizes, and this is where Bootstrap 4 comes in, because it's going to allow you to accommodate those larger sizes that we weren't able to accommodate as easily using Bootstrap in Bootstrap 3. So we're going to look at that in the upcoming lessons as well. So this was Boot Theme. There's also free themes for Bootstrap at Bootswatch. So it's got some example themes, and you can preview it, you can download these. So mainly these are some nice colored themes, and they really are a good starting point when you're building out your Bootstrap website. So you could take one of these and build your foundation to get started with the customization of your website. So the idea is just really to get started quickly, to set it up, and that you don't have to start building out all the styling and the classes that you normally would when you're building out Bootstrap. Now, another favorite of mine is the Bootstrap button generator. This one is fantastic because with Bootstrap, buttons are one of the really neat things that you can do with Bootstrap. Buttons that really stand out and get users' attention. When you're creating a button, you want it to be clicked, and Bootstrap buttons are really those pill-type buttons that are really clickable buttons. So this is a builder for Bootstrap, and of course it's got a builder for Bootstrap 2, and they're probably going to be coming out with a builder for Bootstrap 4, because another change with Bootstrap 4 is they've got rid of these icons, these glyphcons, and so of course we're going to talk about this in the upcoming lessons, but essentially this is for Bootstrap 3 to build it out, and of course this code will work other than the glyphcons, which you could bring in as well. So we have the ability to change the colors, we can change the different button types that are available, so they can be links, we can change the button state, we can add the icon, remove the icon, position the icon on the left or the right, and do some button colors here, so the color can be black or it can be white. And then they just have the button code here, so I can simply take that, copy it, and place that within my web content and utilize the button. So wherever I want to utilize it, I'd be able to really easily just drop that in and go back out to my website, refresh it, and we can see that now we've dropped in this button. And it's just that easy to build out these really nice clickable buttons that are really good calls to action. And then lastly, there's another button builder for Bootstrap 3 at Bootsnip. So they have a bunch of really cool tools for Bootstrap and even more information on Bootstrap, some examples of Bootstrap and what people are doing with Bootstrap. So again, really worthwhile to take a look at and check out these websites to really get a good feel for what we can do with Bootstrap. So in the next lessons, we're going to start building out some Bootstrap code and going over what's changed with Bootstrap 4 and how it's been improved, and overall how to build websites with Bootstrap. So that's all coming up in the next set of lessons.